Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Cheap Seats. But this is a different one. It's the FPL show where we talk all things FPL and have a good time about it. But remember, this show is sponsored by Classic Shirts ZA. Please do go check them out for their classic shirts. We've got a shirt of the week that was supposed to create some stir with Wahid. But he doesn't play FPL because he's in the middle of the table scrap with Dean right now in FPL, and he doesn't like it.
The worst part is I'm probably the worst out of everybody, but yet I'm still here.
Yes, Cyrus, you're still here. You can go get this lovely Manchester City jersey for this year. If you want to be a new football fan, you're like, I want to support a winning team, well, you can go get that. They need supporters. And so this shirt will go a long way to adding more people at the Etihad. Remember, you can get it for on this discount code CheapSeats99 as well. Gents, before we start, as we start, I'm having a great time in FPL.
I saw. Well done.
6th on our team. I'm like number 1 in some of the groups. I'm just running. And it was this weekend, captaining Haaland. Harry Kane was inevitable. Jesus was inevitable. Phil Foden gave me a hat trick. The only person that I was missing probably I should have gotten James Maddison last week instead of Luis Diaz, but he also assisted a little bit here off the bench. So I'm having a good time. Probably the highest I've ever been in this game. So I'm flying high, so don't listen to me because I'm about to
put an Arsenal and burn.
Why are they even watching? Because you're getting terrible.
This is FPL for mid-table. Welcome to finish average. Watch this.
Do the opposite of what I'm going to say, because everything I've done so far has been a little bit of science, but there's still some luck in there.
A lot of rolling the dice.
I rolled the dice really nicely. I got rid of Trent like yesterday. Still have Trent in your team, guys. That's the one thing you need to listen to.
This is why Wahid is not on the show. He captained Trent. So if you wanted to know why, he looked at that game and was like, "Yeah, Trent for sure." So,
But Dean, how's it going there in the mid-table?
Yeah, I really am trying my utmost best to get back up, but not captaining Haaland, captaining Tony, not a great call in hindsight.
Yeah.
Could have worked out. I watched that Bournemouth-Brentford game and he came close to scoring, which would have worked. But yeah, I think don't bet against Haaland anymore.
I'm in a last man stands little competition, and you have to pick a team that's going to win, and you obviously carry on throughout the season. So I picked Brentford because it's an easy one to get out the way. They're playing Bournemouth. I was like, yeah, dude. Yeah, like this Brentford team gave Manchester United 4, and then
tough. But yeah, I mean, it's coming along. I think Maddison saved a lot because I took out Foden for Maddison. So when I saw Foden hit the hat trick and assist, I was like, "Come on, Dean, you can't be this bad at the game." But luckily, Maddison helped a little bit. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, like we said last week, I'm going to try some interesting calls. So let's see.
Cyrus, how's it going there?
Well, I mean, if Dean's in a mid-table scrap, I'm staving off relegation here. Had a bad week. I captained De Bruyne, which wasn't a bad move, but I just don't have Haaland in my team, so I missed a heck of a lot of points. And the biggest problem I've had is I'd spent a lot of cash getting some other people in, and then I was like, I've already got. Am I going to play 3 City assets because Pep? I mean, and the other thing is Pep is just like, go for it, Haaland. So that's why some of my decisions going forward are going to change. But I do think, though, that one of the things I'm struggling with is it seems to be a sort of strikers league at the moment, not necessarily a midfielders league. And the defenders
at the back doesn't work.
Options, it's just not working at all this season. So I've had to, like, you'll see when we go through the teams that I'm going to make some tough calls, because I've always felt like, okay, this is the weekend that Trent's going to come good. This is the weekend, and every single weekend it's been bad. Watch, it's going to happen this weekend because I'm definitely taking him out. But that's just how things have been.
Yeah, I think Everton's the best defensive team in the league so far. So yeah, that's I mean, like Frank, like I didn't expect.
Tarkowski, guys, we called it at the beginning. Tarkowski is the rock that cannot be moved.
Yeah, him and Connor Cody, right? And if there's one thing I mean, okay, here we are. I've got Frank Lampard love, and I've always kind of had a soft spot for Everton. But if there's one thing that Lampard has managed to do right is be able to bring in some solid defenders with a proven track record in the Premier League. When you look at what Everton were working with before, sheesh, it was diabolical at times. And Yerry Mina with the occasional flying masterpiece header, but that was it. I mean, in fact, I want to ask Dean a question about Hugo Lloris and are his days numbered? Because I feel as
why do you have Lloris in your team?
No. I'm just saying generally.
Oh no, he's done. He's over the hill.
Yeah. I've thought so for the last couple of seasons. He's not good with his feet. He's a fairly good shot stopper, but his bigger goalkeepers tend to be fairly useful. And that goal that Partey scored, you could. There was a quote from FIFA. Like, you couldn't have saved that with two goalkeepers. Well, you couldn't have saved it with two Llorises, that's for sure.
Okay. Lloris will be fine. Don't worry. Lloris will be fine.
Okay.
We're going for Oblak.
And Lloris is on fire.
Yeah. Okay, so every week we ask the guys to give us the player they're looking to transfer in, transfer out, a couple of a differential, and also the captaincy option. I think we all decided it's a always Captain Haaland show. Finally listening to me because I would jump on that
watch him not do anything now.
Yeah. Except for this, I think this weekend he's going ballistic. There's going to be no question.
Southampton, shame.
Yes, poor Southampton. Unless they play Carlos.
This is the one they rest him. Yeah, this will be the weekend they rest him.
If he rests him, it would be anyway.
Let
me go for mine. So this is what I'm looking for in game week 10. I'm trying to bring in James Maddison, earned by 12% right now. It's probably going to increase. I think he'll give me enough value because they've got about 4 fixtures next that are green. And I kind of feel as though Brendan Rodgers will now find some sort of a thing. Madison also wants to prove why he was left out of England. So I think last week was a great call there, Dean. I'm stealing it this week. Luis Diaz is the guy that I'm taking out. Just not sure how he fits into this Liverpool side, especially now. Like Jurgen Klopp is just weird. And then obviously we're captaining Haaland. But my vice captain this week is Harry Kane. You should beat Brighton. So I'm not too worried about that. If not, James Maddison's a good vice captaincy option there because they play Bournemouth. So for me, that's where I'm thinking this week. It's around there. I've got Anthony Gordon in my team from last week. So Everton he's a midfield option that can score, and I think he's very cheap. So they're playing Manchester United, so he could come out with a goal or something. I think for me that's the one. He would be the other differential, but I used him last week. Cyrus, let's go to you. You have a similar slate to Dean, but you are getting rid of Trent.
Yes, so I have to, from a cost perspective, I just need the money. And I think that he's just not done enough for anybody's team at the moment. So the question is, how do you sort of make some of those points back from a defensive perspective? So I might do something that I don't normally do in FPL, and that is bring like a center back in as opposed to the sort of potential marauding wing backs. And I've looked at Jared Bowen as being a bit of a differential because I think that West Ham, much like with Leicester, needed to turn a corner. And if there's anything that they can almost count on, is that I think Bowen will be central to anything good that happens with him. But you brought up something very interesting that I hadn't thought about because I said, yes, Haaland in, Haaland captain, but I might actually go back on my word about this because I think that City might look at the Southampton game and think, this is an opportunity for Alvarez to start and for Haaland to get a break. Looking at Pep, we haven't seen too much Pep rotation at the forward slot, which means I think it's definitely Alvarez time. And so I might be looking to go somewhere else. And I think Maddison's a great shout. I want to just check something quickly because I think that there's a midfielder who would be a fairly good option for a lot of people, and it's Bruno Guimaraes at Newcastle. The thing about Guimaraes is that, yes, he's somewhat defensive, but at 5.6, he's not a bad punt.
Let's get Granit Xhaka.
Oh no, man.
But think of this: Bruno Guimaraes is selected by 2.4% of people right now. Newcastle are playing some good football. He's been central to some of the good stuff that's happened there. So I'd look at him, and an outside game to look at it for players would be anybody who's playing Bournemouth or who's playing Nottingham Forest. Because I think Forest
and this week it's Aston Villa. This week it's Aston Villa.
This might be the time where I don't even know. You see, the problem is the Coutinho versus Buendia debate, right? Who gets run? Is this the time where Ollie Watkins finally gets a goal? And this is where I'm looking at it.
What about your boy Jacob Ramsey?
You know I like Jacob Ramsey. I think he'd be a great selection actually. So I might even and he plays every game. So I think Ramsey
and
might
he's
be
very cheap.
He's so good, that guy.
He is fantastic. Spurs would absolutely obliterate if they had him, but he's just languishing at
Alas.
Villa are literally just a shop waiting to be opened.
Yeah.
So for the West Ham thing,
sitting on not even on the bench.
So the thing about West Ham is that I'm looking at Lucas Paqueta. I think he's the guy who's going to unlock this entire thing. Obviously, Jared Bowen hasn't had the great start of the season, but with the World Cup coming, we expect. But for me, it's Paqueta. I think he's the guy. He's the guy I'm watching because I think he could be a nice.
How much is he?
Different. I think he's 6.
Sure, that's not bad.
Yeah. Lucas Paqueta, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
But he is a forward player.
He is their 10. He sits behind Skamaka.
Yeah.
You know. Dean, you also went through for Jared Bowen. I'm just trying to get this thing to load. But you're also bringing in an interesting one, Ben Chilwell. That Chelsea left back situation has been something I don't want to touch. I've got Reece James. I'm happy with Reece James, but you're going Ben Chilwell.
Yeah, there's a few reasons for this. So I think Perisic, I'll wait and see, but he's a rotation risk for sure in the Premier League. Conte's going to play him in Champions League, and I'm always just nervous. And with my bench is like Nico Williams, so not great cover. So I need to look at someone, and looking at those defender options now, big at the back isn't really a thing. So I was looking before this weekend at someone like Darlow, and then he went and did what he did United went and did what they did against City, so quickly turned away from there. And then looking at that Chelsea game, I don't have enough money for James, but I think we saw Chilwell play. I think Potter now, has used Cucurella at left centre back more often at Brighton. So hopefully Chilwell can get some run in that left wing back position. That's kind of a hope. I don't think Chelsea are looking that great defensively, but at least he offers something going forward. And also price-wise, at least you're buying someone that's high value, so you can also just move on to someone high value. But on the differential, I have Bowen last week, and he came good with an assist and a goal. So I do think West Ham are looking better than what they were. They play Fulham this weekend, and Fulham looked like really easy to open up last week. Newcastle showed that. So I'm sticking with Jared Bowen. I probably should have moved out Luis Diaz for Maddison instead of Foden for Maddison last week. But we'll see how that goes. That hurt, but Luis Diaz.
Imagine if you had Foden and Maddison.
Let's not
and
even
Bowen.
go there.
And Captain Haaland. I would have been real.
Imagine you've done all of those things.
Imagine Spurs won.
But here's a question for you though, Dean. I mean, like, when you look at the defenders that have scored points, it's primarily centre backs here. We're looking at Saliba, Gabriel, even Fabian Schär at Newcastle, Connor Cody, Eric Dyer. Those seem to be the highest point scorers. So would you say you have to look for like a wing back option, or can a centre back be a good option at the back for point scoring?
So I think a centre back is. I think we've definitely. First of all, I think we've seen a shift in the game where previously we were looking at cheap wing backs and we're just trying to get someone going forward. But now I think teams are offering different, and those big centre backs are getting forward and can actually pop in with a goal or two. So the way I've got it, I've got Trippier, who is very good at Newcastle. He's on free kicks, so I think Trippier is a must for the next couple games, as well as Cancelo, who's just Cancelo. So you must have him. I think, that third defender you can kind of play around. So I'm taking a bit of a bet on Chelsea just because with the Chilwell pick, but I don't think you need to take too much.
I have a feeling Wolves and Diego Costa. So I was going to say, if anybody's looking for a cheap striker who might get some points this weekend, Diego Costa. He came close to
Are they
scoring
going
last
to
weekend.
start him?
He came
Because
close.
he came off the
Even
bench.
if he comes
We'll
off the
see
bench, I
now
think
with the
that'll
new
be
manager
his,
bounce as well. We'll see what
yeah.
happens.
Like if somebody was having a bench boost, right? I think Diego Costa would be a good person to even have in your bench on a bench boost, because I just feel he's the kind of guy that will give this particular Chelsea defense absolute nightmares. And I loved the guy at Chelsea, though I didn't like his personality. He was a bit too much for me.
Yeah, but some of our sides have gone big up front. You know, I don't want to break the whole Jesus, Kane, Haaland front three situation going, but yeah, well, Costa's on the watch list. He is on my draft team. So in fantasy draft, I'm looking at him seriously. Even Skamaka, but guys, hey, West Ham, I can't trust him.
Yeah, though look at who they're playing. Like we said, West Ham's game this weekend it's Fulham, right?
Fulham.
Yes.
It's not a bad one. And West Ham just have been really poor in trying to create stuff, and this is, I suppose, David Moyes, right? That he is not known for unleashing the creativity in midfield. But I think Skamaka's got the ability to get a couple of goals. That's why I'm looking at Bowen, because if anything good happens, it'll be through him. And thank goodness Mikel Antonio, that converted right back,
is not sitting on the bench.
Issue. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you very much for that insight. And yeah, all the best to you guys. Remember, the deadline is Saturday at 2:30 now. I think the clocks have moved. So it's a little bit later. So you've got a lot more time. And that means late Champions League matches and very late.
Are you playing Champions League, Mbo?
No, he just likes to watch other teams.
You know, well, for me, it's Europa League, and I'm okay with that, because, you know, it is what it is. You know, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah, but enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the fixtures. That Arsenal-Liverpool looks tasty. But outside of that, from us here at Cheap Seats, it's goodbye and Lesale Kakafiso.